Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
My neighbor was up here the other day, and he said to me, never, ever, never ask Google for medical advice. He said he has gone from a mild headache to clinically dead in 3 clicks of his computer. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning on a Monday. She was going to get started this morning, Kate Smith, and God bless America, and evidently she lost her microphone there for a few moments. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service today, 734-6969, and also Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida and Rupert. Oh my goodness, have they been going through checks, here a check, there a check, everything for the farm, home, and ranch at Valley-Wide Home and Ranch. Right now on this Monday, March 23rd, I believe we have somebody on for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, that's so nice. Call me sir.
Well, you know, I'm going to turn over not just the leaf, but I'm going to turn over the whole tree. Good morning.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, real quick, Al, I got to ask you, I'm sure that besides news, you're a basketball fan. Those were some outstanding games this weekend to finally get the Sweet 16.
Now, I'm not too interested in basketball anymore.
Oh, thanks, Al. Thanks, Al.
I mean, I had experience in senior in high school, and I ain't enjoyed basketball since.
Well, what did they do, stuff you through the net?
One of the smart aleck all-stars hit me in the nose for no purpose at all, so I bucked him. Coach got mad at me, so I shoved the ball in the coach's belly and left.
Have you ever heard of what's called a foul, Al?
But he didn't do it because he was the all-star.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry you had such a bad experience. How many years ago was that? And you can't let it ride?
1952.
All right. Get over it, Al.
I can't.
See you later.
God bless the ring.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, my. It's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945, the number to call. And coming up in a matter of just a few days, they're going to have another one of their girls' nights out on Friday, and that's going to be April 3rd. Don't miss it. Call for more information at 678-6945. And don't forget, they've got a lot of newly refurbished furniture, all your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction. It's all there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Like I said, look for the blue door. Right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
If you ever have a bad day, all you have to do is listen to Hal, and you'll put a smile on your face every time. That is so funny. Good morning, Zeb. Good morning, everybody, and sorry about the rain, but Magic Valley Spring, it hasn't changed in let's see, how long I've been there now? 8 years. Hadn't changed in 8 years. It's not going to change now. You got rain in the forecast for today. You got rain in the forecast for tonight. You got rain in the forecast for tomorrow. Temperature is going to be in the mid to upper 50s for both of those days. And then Wednesday, we'll turn the sprinklers off, and you'll see a lot of sun, very little clouds all the way to Saturday. Temperatures will slowly but surely get up into the low 70s. Other than that, it's a brand spanking new week of you. I mean, I was having a bad day till us now. That was pretty good. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you so much. Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Wonderful people. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 10 to 4, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. We have got a lot of things cooking here this morning, and we're going to have a lot of nice people on the air. We got Frosty later on this morning. We got Kerry Kupek with the Alliance Defending Freedom. And we've got a gentleman with a brand new documentary out, Steve Mosher, and he's going to dispel a lot of what the Obama's trying to cram down our throats with green energy. So we're going to be talking about that later on this morning. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew. One of the nicest things that you could do for your family, maybe family members, maybe your kids that are off to school or something, when they come home, they dump all their laundry right on your floor. Give them some gift cards so they can go to Daryl's Cleaners and get all their rumply crumplies just really looking brand new. And that's good for anybody, too. Stop over to Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are simply the best. You stop in and see Kevin and Cindy today. Also, I want to remind you about SafeLink Internet. And as you've heard me say many, many times, Idaho's #1 choice for wireless internet, 17 years and counting. And you check out putting SafeLink into your home. We've had it in this office now for, 6 years? Absolutely outstanding. The service is impeccable. The people that work there, absolutely so helpful. Call them 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. SafeLink Internet, serving you. Really nice people. Fantastic weekend. If you like basketball, if you love basketball, it was crunch time for all the teams in the NCAA tournament to try to make it down to next weekend, starting with the Sweet 16. There were some major upsets. I know, a lot of you probably are saying, basketball, that's all I heard was basketball all weekend long. Well, listen, it's just for a very short time. But some of the top-seeded teams went boop, out of the tournament. And still, I am riding the crest of hopefulness with a couple of my teams that did very well this weekend to make it to the Sweet 16. Wisconsin Badgers, my old alma mater, and the Wichita State Shockers. And then, boy, did they clean up on Kansas yesterday. But anyhow, those are the two teams I'm really pulling for. And I thought for a time the other evening that Cincinnati was going to trim the feathers on Kentucky, but too big, too strong, and quite frankly, too good. Kentucky came back and won that game. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I called my aunt this morning back in Wisconsin. My Aunt Miriam, a lot of you know her. She's been out here a couple of times to visit and everything. She was really depressed, and she says, she gets on the phone this morning and she says, doggone it, I can't go to bingo today. I says, what's the matter, Aunt Miriam? And she says, we got too much snow. It started snowing all over again. We got about another 8 and 9 inches in my driveway, and I can't get out to go play bingo. So she's having a bad day. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've got light bulbs all over the place. They've got the regular bulbs, the high and low wattage. They got all the fluorescent lights, and they got all along with the fluorescent lights, they got the ballast and all the repair parts. Oh, my goodness, when I tell you to go to the light, go to the light. Go to Ramsey's, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Fridays. And they're just the best, where they provide warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Man, I talked to Mandy the other day over at Valley White Home and Ranch. And I was just shocked. I don't want to exaggerate on the number, but I believe that she said over 2,000 chickens have found new homes. Here a chick, there a chick, everywhere a chick. She said, holy smokes, chick days went boom out the door. They were coming in and getting chicks like you can't believe. And they still have all of the equipment you need, including all the feeding material, the waterers, the equipment, the fencing. They've got everything over there at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And don't forget, when it comes to all your clothing, they've got all your clothing. When it comes to your boots, they've really got a great selection of boots over there. And all your horse equipment, your tack. I know a lot of people involved in the high school rodeo right now. Don't forget Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Sean and Mandy, the whole crew, serving you at Valleywide. All right, give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Why? Why is there such a big rift? I want somebody that has an opinion on this to give me a call. Why is there such a big rift growing like a cancer between Israel and us, the United States of America? It's getting bigger. It's like a chasm. It's like the Grand Canyon. And I'm going to point my finger at our own president and say it's his attitude, his personality, and his kind of a spoiled little brat persona that has caused this trouble between Israel and us. And where is the common sense for Obama to want to basically help Hamas, which is a terrorist group, and also the possibility of a Palestinian state, which has vowed many times for the complete destruction and ruination of Israel? What is the matter with this man? What is the matter with this administration? And last Friday was really kind of scary. If you read between the lines, folks, and I want you to call in, 436-2244. Last Friday, just before the weekend, they always drop bombshells about what is going to last over the weekend, and a lot of the Saturday and Sunday talk shows are going to pick up on it. What is the White House saying when they may rethink policy decisions with Israel? What do they mean by that? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Are you sitting down?
Oh, brother.
Have you got your shoulders braced?
Helen, what are you going to do to me this morning?
Oh, I want to express my opinion. You say that America is against Israel? No way, Jose. Obama and the damn Democrats are against them. America isn't.
Well, it certainly is showing that way, Helen, and I'm having a really hard time showing respect to this administration and the Oval Office and the presidency when they're doing so many things that are ruining our allegiance and our friendship with other countries, i.e. Israel, our number one ally in the Middle East. I don't understand why.
Isn't that what he said he would do?
He said he would do a lot of things, Helen, and honestly, I think you're going to agree with this statement. I believe that Obama right now this morning is treating Israel worse than a lot of the enemies that we have.
Oh, yeah. He's embracing the stupid Muslims with his arms wide open and his eyes shut.
That's a good way to put it, embracing them with his arms wide open and his eyes shut. I like that. And you didn't scare me near as bad as I thought you would, but the call's not over yet. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. I love that lady. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. After everything that Israel has been through, after everything that they've had to do to survive, and the way this country has basically put their arm around their shoulder and said, we are here if you need us. Why? Why this change of temperament with Obama? And instead of putting an arm around the shoulder, they're keeping Israel at arm's length. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know what the reason is, but I think, honestly, it's a very scary situation. Caller, I ask your patience to stay with me 30 seconds. I just want to tell everybody about Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we were there last Thursday. Oh, my, was the food good. Oh, my, the service was fantastic. Oh, my, everybody had a good time. Absolutely, breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Denny's Restaurant. And don't forget, they've got a brand new one, too, at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, it's good. You're going to love all the service and the food. Breakfast, my favorite meal. I had that the other day. You're going to have a great time over there. And don't forget, they've got gift cards you can give to your friends and family. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. We missed you at our meeting last Thursday. Art Thompson gave about an hour-and-a-half presentation on how bad these trade agreements are. And, I mean, I knew a little bit about what was going on, but this situation is a lot worse than and we need to get hold of our senators and say no on fast track for sure. It's just absolutely dynamite as far as our sovereignty and jobs and so forth. So anyway, but to answer your question, Valerie Jarrett, as you well know, is the chief counsel behind the scenes. Many think that she's really running the show. She was born in Iran, and she's said in public comments that she wants to convert the U.S. into a Muslim nation. So how do you do that? With our foreign and domestic policy, that's exactly what's happening.
Well, Valerie Jarrett is the person behind the scenes. She's kind of like the person hiding behind the curtain in the Oval Office. And after everybody steps out of the office and after they make sure all the tape recorders are shut off, she steps out from behind the curtains and she leads Obama by the nose with policy that actually she is setting and that she wants to have him adhere to. I think he's nothing more than a lapdog for her, because I've read and listened to a lot of people that have absolutely a fear for Valerie Jarrett.
Well, yeah, and this is why it gets me, these talking heads on talk shows all day long, and in the evening everybody says, why is Obama acting? I mean, it's so obvious. Yeah. I mean, most of us out here that are, halfway informed, like yourself and a lot of my friends, we can see this, but they're afraid to say anything, and I'm afraid if we don't step up and say something pretty soon, it's going to be too late, because just look to, what's happening around the world. Like I say, our ally, Israel, is being attacked, and we're going to give Iran the way to make a nuclear bomb. Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely not only just asinine, it's suicidal.
And criminal. It's suicidal and criminal what we're doing. Adrian, I appreciate your call. I got to make room for some others, and I will be calling you after the program with some time to get you on the air. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. God bless you. And right now, in just a minute, I want to talk to you about a cartoon. I want to talk to you about a cartoon that was in the Times News. Well, actually, it's a syndicated cartoon, and it was all across the country. And I found it extremely offensive to me and others of us that are Christians. We'll talk about that in a minute. Caller, don't go away. Barry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations, South Lincoln and Jerome, and Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the new one at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Old people are busy. Old people are saying, springtime! We got a whole bunch of work to do to get cleaned up, everything all taken care of. They've got all the Doosan loaders and excavators. I went by the Burley location the other day, and they got those big dudes right out in front. They've got all the Coyote tractors and the Bobcats and the Walker mowers. You better check out their great financing at Barry Equipment and Rental. South Lincoln, Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, yeah, I think one of the reasons that the big rift between us and Israel is because of Obama, what he told them. That if they tried to bomb anything at all in Iran, he would shoot their jets down.
Well, yeah, but it's more than just a statement of they're getting involved or interfering with a proposed treaty with the United States and Iran. It's an attitude and a perception of all of a sudden in this administration, Obama doesn't have any respect for our number one ally over there. And to have respect, you've got to be able to meet people 50% of the way down the trail, and he's not doing that. He's actually treating the enemies better than he's treating Israel.
And why isn't Israel in on these supposed talks?
Yeah, I've asked that question a long time as to why don't they have some input, because the number one target is Israel as far as in the crosshairs from Iran. I agree with you, Alias. Thank you for your call. God bless you, man. Have a good day.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Lennox, oh my goodness, thank you very much. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. Warm winters, cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox. Really good folks. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk to you about a cartoon right after the break at the bottom of the hour. Now, we're going to have our break, which is going to be the Capital Press Ag Minute. And then when we come back from that, we're going to have the Sophie's Chatterbox Cinnamon Roll Giveaway. And I'm going to ask a question, and the first person with the right answer is going to win a half dozen cinnamon rolls. Oh, boy, they're good. So right now, let's get ready for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and it's brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology. I just talked to this lovely lady this morning, Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at 1218 9th Street, Unit 2 behind the Minidoka Hospital, right across from the emergency room, Mount Harrison Audiology. Think about losing your hearing, thinking about your hearing being diminished. It's scary, isn't it? Well, go in and get it checked. Hearing loss is not normal. It's not an age problem. It's not normal. Be sure and have it checked out today. Call for an appointment at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here is the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. The dairy group that authored Idaho's Agriculture Security Act will not be allowed to intervene in a federal lawsuit against the law. But Idaho Dairymen's Association officials are confident the law is constitutional, and they are optimistic about a favorable outcome. The legislation makes it a crime for someone to gain employment in an agricultural operation through deception with the intent to cause economic harm and other damage to the operation. It also prohibits people from making a video or audio recording of the facility's operations without the owner's consent. Chief U.S. District Judge B. Lynn Windmill has set the hearing for April 28th. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner. For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
All right, thank you very much. Brought to you this hour by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Check out with Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, and make sure you get a hearing screening. Now, I'm scheduled to go in on Wednesday afternoon, and then I'm going to tell you all about it. Great service for everybody. Be sure and check it out at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, we are going to give away a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh my goodness sakes, this is going to be delicious. And Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh my goodness, great. The size of those cinnamon rolls, they're about the size of a Spalding football. They're huge. And you can go into Sophie's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and they're open 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends. Absolutely delicious. Now, if you're the winner, all you have to do is call her up at 436-0354 and tell her you're the winner and what day you'll be picking them up so you can go in there and they'll be fresh and oh so goody. And here's the question for today, and this is an easy one, I think. First person to call me at 436-2244 with the answer, who played the Army Colonel in the movie Rambo? What was the actor's name that played the Army colonel in the movie Rambo? He was a very famous character actor. Who was he? Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Who was the actor that played the Army colonel in Rambo? And just to give you a little hint, he was a major television and movie star, quite frankly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'll never forget the real McCoys. Was it Richard Crenna?
Who is this?
This is Old Art, the old man.
Oh, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Ragged Old Flag himself, and that is, of course, Johnny, better known as Art Smith.
Hey, thank you.
How are you?
Doing fine, sir, and yourself?
Well, good. You realize that right now, old Slim Smith is going to get a little pudgy because you just won a half dozen of those delicious cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox, and all you got to do is let them know when you're coming over. Yes, the answer is Richard Crenna.
Okay, and I do appreciate that. Thank you. Although I don't need them, I'm going to eat one.
Well, you better share them with me, okay? Thank you very much, Art. All right, God bless you, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice man right there, Art Smith. And the answer is, of course, Richard Crenna. Richard Crenna played Luke in The Real McCoys, and he was in quite a few other movies. And he was in a movie just before his passing. And I can't remember the name of the movie, and it was about how he and his grandson took a cross-country horseback ride all the way to the ocean, almost exactly to the same principles of what our dear friend Mr. Wooldridge, Howard Wooldridge, did when he rode Misty all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And I wonder if there wasn't some stealing, if you will, of ideas when they wrote that script. But anyway, it was Richard Crenna. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We are blessed on this program to have our dear friends with Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. They are a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. And the main man there to call for estimates is Tim Vaughn. Now, this man knows all about building things. And you tell him what you want, he'll give you the estimate and get it all figured up for you. 431-7314. I say that number slow so you can write it down. It's a very important number, 431-7314. And right now, Streamline Precision is really involved in a lot of projects, like putting up grain bins for on-the-farm storage, and they're an authorized dealer for Sioux Cup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings, and they're doing a lot of cement work for mangers and feed alleys. And by the way, they're also building the brand new Funk Dairy right over here in Murtaugh. Busy and good and waiting for you to call. Streamline Precision, 431-7314. You call Tim today. The professionals working and building for you, okay? All right, give us a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was a cartoon in the paper the other day, the Times News, and it wasn't just the Times News. It was across the United States. And this cartoonist has caused me a little heartburn in the past. Extremely liberal slant, Mike Lukovich. And Mike Lukovich is, I think he's based out of the Chicago Tribune, but he is freelancing and sending his cartoons all over the United States. Now, for those of you that caught this, it was a very simplistic cartoon, and it was an A and B cartoon. In A, it showed a hooded member of the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? On the right side, it showed a piece of paper that said Religious Freedom Bill. And at the top, the title of this cartoon was, Which Sheet Best Hides Bigotry? And when I saw that, and I make no bones about it, and I don't hide my hate and disdain for people that are really trying to do away with Christianity in this country, I was so enraged, I wanted to call Mr. Lukovich back in Chicago and just let him know how low I thought he was. But I don't want to be on the same level as this man. You know, comparing, and this is how I took it, and unless maybe you've got a different take on this cartoon, give me a call. But to compare religious freedoms in this country and our belief in the Bible and our belief in getting up and going to church on Sundays and celebrating Jesus Christ as our Savior. But in this cartoon, comparing our beliefs and our adherence to the Bible as being also like or worse the Ku Klux Klan, what are your thoughts about this? As I said, it was in the paper, I believe it was on Saturday's paper, and it's which sheet best hides bigotry? What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244. I found it to be highly offensive, and I think all Christians should be upset and let Mr. Vukovich know exactly how low can you go in the cesspool of secularism. And it's almost like if we don't accept their secular attitudes, their filth, their abnormality, then they turn around and they come after us and say that we're hate mongers and bigots. It's time to fight back. No, it's past time to fight back. Call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. If you don't speak out on this, you're accepting it. Honestly, I believe that. We must speak out. Don't forget Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, and they're located over in Paul, and the number to call, this is the most important part, 431-8733. That's got Gano, and boy, they can prune properly all your trees, your fruit trees, ornamental trees, shade trees, dangerous trees, no problem, bingo, down they go. Stumps out of the ground, oh, they know how to do everything, and install all your sprinklers. They're good in the tree and landscape business for over 35 years. Call them, 431-8733. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, serving you. Hey, on Tuesdays, don't forget Dr. History, and Doc called me this weekend. We thought he was going to be out of town, but nope. He's going to be right here in the studio tomorrow, and we're looking forward to that. And Minnecasia Sales at 1321 East Main in Burley with Zach and Joanne, the whole crew serving you. They are the sponsor of Dr. History. They're right across from the Burley Airport, and they literally have everything: windows, doors, garage doors, all your lumber, all your carpet, your vinyl and metal siding, and all your countertops. My goodness, they're handy. And they're also a distributor for Tartar Ranch and farm equipment. You check them out today. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley. All right, give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Does it not bother you that as Christians, you're compared now to bigotry of the Ku Klux Klan? It really bothers me. And it's time to stand up and fight back. Little by little, every day in the news, think about this, every day in the news, there is some attack on the value system here in America. There is some attack on Christianity. There is some attack on family values. And we sit back and we don't speak up, and we let this erode our society even further. Well, I'm going to fight back. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, my goodness, it's time for that great big Salmon Select horse sale again. Oh, Fred and the gang up there for the 43rd annual Salmon Select horse sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds in Salmon, Idaho, April 8th through the 12th, and they're going to have mule clinics. They're going to have a mule sale. They're going to have horsemanship clinics. They're going to have barrel racing and trail horse competition. They're going to have rope horse performance. They're going to have a team roping. And the big horse sale is going to be on Saturday, April 11th at 1 p.m., the 43rd Annual Salmon Select Horse Sale. Holy cow, for more information, you better call my dear friend Fred Snook up there at 208-756-2125. The town of Salmon is going to have another ripping good horse sale and mule sale on April 8th through the 12th. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. I think that it's interesting that this attack on Christianity is coming right before Easter as well.
Yes.
But I think that we need to, all of the churches need to kind of come together and show their courage and make it a symbol of, we don't do that. We're not like that. But anyway, I don't know how to do it, but I think that it's sad if Christians stand back and let people poke their finger in our eye.
You know, Chris, I am sick and tired, and maybe I'm the one that's wrong, but I am sick and tired of people blatantly attacking Christianity and family values and what the Bible says, as if they know more than God's Word, and they're mocking it, and then they start comparing religious people and Christians to bigots of the Ku Klux Klan, and we sit back and do nothing? Why?
You know what? I think that we need some real leadership in our country, and there's been some people, and of course Billy Graham, he's no longer being able to do much or anything, but we really do need a spokesperson for our country who really has a lot of courage.
Well, wait a minute.
What kind of hopelessness this world would be in if it weren't for the people who follow Christ. And it's not just the United States, but we've certainly led the way.
You know, what you said about Billy Graham, now let's be real fair here in our assessment of what is done or not being done. Billy Graham, of course, extremely elderly gentleman right now, but his son Franklin has tried to carry the torch, and he has been under attack just like his dad was. And I compliment Franklin Graham for everything he is trying to do. He's one of many that are trying to do something. But you know something? We put too much value on somebody else doing it for us when we should be doing it on our own.
Well, that's right. And I'd like to see a lot more coverage, even in our local papers, about how things would be in the Magic Valley if it weren't for the wonderful acts of generosity that the Christian churches do. And you know, the Christian churches do not ask your affiliation. They don't say, do you go somewhere else? Have you paid your tithe? Have you been out in the city park and picked up paper or anything? We give good, hoping to scratch the surface of good.
Well, here's what I want you to do, Chris. I was wrong on the day it was in the paper. I said Saturday. It was in yesterday's paper, Sunday's paper.
Times News?
Yes, and I want you, here's what I really want you to do. I want you to get that cartoon, and I want you're very perceptive and understand a lot of things. I want you to get that cartoon and call me back tomorrow morning and tell me if the cartoon doesn't hit you the same way it did me when it says, which sheet best hides bigotry, and then call me tomorrow morning, would you?
Yeah, I probably don't even hardly have to look at it because I know which one. But I don't get the Times News, so would it be online?
It should be online, and let me know if you can't get it. But I just want people to understand that we can't sit back and let the secular world destroy our value system. We got to fight back. And whether you like the word fight or not, it's time that we stop turning the other cheek.
Well, and I think that the word fight has a lot of connotations. I am proud to be a Christian, and I can't think of any other group of people I'd rather hang out with. And so those of us with a voice need to make our voice heard.
Amen. Thank you for your call as always. Thank you. All right, we're going to do the weather forecast real quick. Oh, my, and it's brought to you this hour by Reds Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Ryan and the rest of the crew, they've got all your ammunition, and they're getting more in every day. They're getting new shipments daily at Reds Trading Post. They've got all the guns, all the ammo, all the accessories, all the top people that really know and understand everything about guns, ammo, and accessories. You bet the best people are right there at Reds Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Here is Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Rogers for Zeb of the Ranch Center, a brand spanking new week of messy weather. It's going to be a yucky day today. You got rain for the day and also for tonight. It's going to taper off tomorrow night. So you're going to get this rain. You're going to get cooler temperatures. The daytime highs in the middle 50s. Overnight lows will be right around the mid to upper 30s. Then when you get to Wednesday, all the way through the weekend, nice weather temperatures in the 70s. Now that I can't talk, enjoy the weather. Show the weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you. Brought to you by Reds Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Hey, real quick, I want to remind you, Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie. 21-year proven record of increasing yield and quality of all Idaho crops, speeding germination, reducing crusting, improving stand, and stimulating root growth, and my favorite, microbial activity, and builds soil structure, too. I'll tell you what, Penetron Soil Conditioner gives faster water infiltration to reduce runoff, and I'm telling you, Penetron treated crops have better roots that reduces stress for water and nutrients. Yes, increase your crop's performance with a proven soil conditioner. What is it? Penetron by Maisie. Get the original, not the cheap imitations. Contact your crop advisor to obtain Penetron Soil Conditioner, and of course, for more questions and answers, call our friend Adrian Arp at 734-2255 for additional information. All right, give us a call. We still have time for you to give us a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was reading a note that came across my desk, and I have to concur, and this one was sent by Ginny Thomas on the web from the Media Research Center and the Daily Caller. And according to Larry Pratt, and Larry's been on our program many, many times, he is the executive director of Gun Owners of America, and he said that Second Amendment supporters are telling him that the Republican Party is an enormous disappointment. Yes, it is. And he continued in what he was saying. He said people elected them to come and stop Barack Obama. They said that was the one thing they would do. Yes, they did. And they, meaning the GOP, and I'll be glad to stand up to anybody on this, they are the most spineless group of urchins that ever could have been imagined, Pratt declared. They signed up for the job, and now they are missing in action. And you know what? Maybe some of the language about urchins, etc., might be a little harsh because some are trying, but in general, the GOP has let us down. They said that no matter what, whether they won or lost another election, they'd be standing there fighting shoulder to shoulder against Obama, and they're not doing it. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, you blame the politicians on all of this, but the politicians wouldn't be there if the people had their hearts straight. We have people today that I cannot believe what they talk to their kids about or what they teach their kids, and not outright teach, but the way they act is the way their kids are going to act.
I agree.
And some of these people out there, you talk about, well, okay, for instance, my grandkids come home, and they're home visiting. We send them to a youth group. They come home, and their mentor says, "What did you learn today?" Well, we learned how we had a contest. What was that? Well, in this, I'm cleaning it up with the words. Who can leave gas out the back end and out the top the most?
Okay, well, let's not get too more explicit on that. Let's go roll with it. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Now, what I'm saying is the churches today are holding back. They should be full blast attacking what is going on.
I agree.
They don't say hardly anything.
Why are they afraid? Stop right there. I mean, we can go on and you can ramble and I can ramble, but why are they afraid? Let's get to the bottom line. Sign the contract. Why are they afraid? I don't understand.
The reason they're afraid to say anything, and there are some people out there that are leading these churches that are willing to do that. But if they do that, they got people sitting out there in the audience that are totally against it.
Yeah.
And then the church will dwindle down to almost nothing, and then you have nothing. It's a people, Zeb.
I agree with you, but wait a minute. I never said it wasn't, because if you made the inference on that, Dwayne, I have said on this program thousands of times that it's our fault for putting these certain people in power. It's our fault for letting this happen. It's our fault for not getting involved. So don't say it hasn't been said on this program. It's been repeated and reiterated many, many times. Your point is very well taken, though, and I don't understand. I sit in my church every Sunday, and I just recently changed where I go to church. And I'm much more optimistic that the pastor where I go now is going to look out in the congregation and call it the way it is. But I'm telling you, most churches and most pastors or ministers or church leaders are just like you said. They're afraid. They're almost like politicians, afraid about getting reelected.
Exactly, and I'm in the same saddle as you, Zeb. I just recently changed too. And it just irks me the way that these adults sit there. They know nothing about. If you try to talk to them about certain things in what's going on in the East and that, they look at you like a blank, and I don't want to hear about it.
But you know something? If we keep letting cartoons, like a frivolous news cartoon from Mike Lukovich, comparing religious freedoms and the belief in the Bible to bigotry like the KKK, we've lost. There is no hope. There is nothing that we can do to revive values. There is nothing we can do to fight for family situations, because we're not fighting back now. I am on this program, and if I tease somebody off on the liberal left, I don't care, Dwayne.
Well, I agree with you. You've done a good job, Zeb, and you know, there's a lot of people that don't like you because of that.
That's right.
That's exactly what the pastors are going through. There's people out there that, and it's getting overwhelming for them. And not only that, there's money involved.
That's right.
It costs money to do what some of these guys are doing.
I got to get a commercial break in, my dear friend, but your points were excellent this morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody, Easter is right around the corner, and the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley with Colonel Dale and the rest of the crew. They have all your Easter needs. You know, special little meaningful gifts like Precious Moments figurines, or maybe a special book, special gifts for their Easter basket, and they've got over 3 floors of ideas at the Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley. All the greeting cards and the crafts and the art supplies and the children's books, it's all there at the Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley with our dear friend, Colonel Dale. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I used to own a bookstore for 25 years in Los Angeles. Well, I had several down there, and I had one that we really tried to carry the message, the same one you're doing, and we carried the literature and everything else. And you know, we had vandals come in almost every day and just deliberately tear up our store, and we couldn't ever find a solution for it. And the people that owned the building just finally bulldozed it down.
You know, it's really an amazing thing that just happened, Colonel Dale. I just had done your commercial, and you're the next caller. I was really surprised about that. But I've got to say, what do we do, Colonel Dale? We are in the minority now of people that will speak up and fight back. And, you know, Dwayne brought up a good point just a moment ago. They've got to do it from the pulpits. They've got to tell the congregation that it's time now not to turn the other cheek. We've got to stand up up and fight for what is right, because we're being compared to hate mongers and bigots for believing in God's word.
Amen. And I'll tell you, I tried to get other businesses in the neighborhood to join with me to pass out the literature and to carry the word about what, well, pardon the expression, the way the country's going to hell. And I just, like I was beating a dead horse.
Yeah. All I can say is that as long as I'm on this program, until I have no sponsors left and until I can't afford to do it anymore, I'm going to keep out there preaching against what's wrong in this country. And thank you for your call. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you very much. Very nice man right there, Colonel Dale, and I have the utmost respect for him. But you know something, folks? It's not just him. It's not just me. It's not just Dwayne. Everybody's got to stand up for what is right. For what is right. There are bad people out there with bad agendas that want to make us a secular society and basically take a steamroller and knock us over and put us into obscurity. It's time to fight back. Don't forget, there is a big spring tire sale going on right now at the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh my, all 7 locations serving you, and service is the key word. Very convenient credit for tires and services, and they've got the best tire value promise in the industry. With every passenger car and light truck tire purchase, peace of mind tire protection, and lifetime tire and mileage care. Don't forget to check on the Eclipse tire. All-season traction, advanced design tread on sale right now for your cars. They're waiting to serve you at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twitch family in Paul, John and Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Going to take a break. I'll be back in 6. Now back over to Wheels for the CBS News. Thank you very much. Oh, my goodness sakes, good morning. A little cloudy outside and some precipitation, and it was a blessing to see it raining this morning. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley Wide, and our dear friends at Western Waste Services. The
canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, every free man. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Don't forget, folks, get on the route service. And they are so efficient. Their trucks almost run right on time. I mean, right to the second. They're there every time you're supposed to have that garbage picked up and out of there. They do a great job. Locally owned and operated, Western Waste Services. Also, the dumpsters. Deanne threatened to get a dumpster to have me clean out my office. Well, I'll lose the whole personality of the office. Anyway, you get what you need as far as anything and everything with your garbage disposal. With our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them today, 734-6969. Wonderful, wonderful people. And before we get our guest on the phone this morning, I want to remind you, too, about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, the manager, and it's a family place. It really, really is. Family and staff very concerned about taking care of you. When there's the passing of a loved one, believe me, they give you family attention, and they can travel to the rural towns and churches and help you with all the arrangements. So please remember this. Always, they uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And right now we're going to go to the phone lines and say a good morning to my dear friend Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. How are you, Frosty?
Good morning, Zeb. Always a pleasure, sir. And
Hey, happy springtime. Hope that rain keeps falling. We've got rain falling here in Colorado, so the spring buds are coming. The crocus are, just exploding, and so the promise of renewal. So it's always a joy.
Frosty, I want to get right into something this morning that I'm just absolutely livid. And as a taxpayer in this great country, and have been for many, many years, decades, just like yourself, I've had it. And if this government, if this administration is going to wantonly break the law and go against our Constitution, I am almost ready to tell my accountant, bag it. I'm not going to pay anything to this blankety-blank administration because they just last Friday let out 30,000 felons, illegals that came into this country and committed a crime, and they put them back on the streets. What kind of idiocy is this?
Well, as we've talked many times in the past, and I'm sure we're going to talk certainly many times in the future, this administration, led by a man that we do not know, we don't know where he came from, we don't know where he's been, we don't know his real name, we really don't know his official religion, we certainly don't know anything about his high school or his college records or his history, because everything has been sealed. Everything has been put under lock and key, which has cost millions of dollars, but he's obviously got millions of dollars to do that. We do know that his name was Barry Soetoro, and we do know that he gained a scholarship of some kind to Columbia University and on to Harvard University as a foreign student from Indonesia. We do know that he went to Muslim schools from the age of 5 to the age of 11. We know that. Both of his fathers, purported fathers, Barack Obama Sr., or possibly Frank Marshall Davis, who they think at some point was some kind of DNA testing. We'll find out that he's the real father because he actually looks like Frank Marshall Davis.
Yes, he does.
And Barry Soetoro, his other stepfather. The man was brought up a Muslim, and as you can see from the actions that are going on in the White House right now, there are no less than 8 Muslim aides now working against America in the White House right now. It's unprecedented to have 8 Muslim aides in the inner circle. So whatever he's doing, he's obviously breaking the Constitution. He's in violation of the Constitution, and releasing 30,000. I read the same article. In fact, there's several articles on how he's releasing all these criminal aliens. He simply is getting away with it because Congress won't do anything, and obviously the money payoff is extraordinary, and we simply have a rogue president that has, again, scammed his way into the White House, not once but twice, and until the American people stand up and speak out, we still have 1 year and 9 months left of this man named Barack Obama.
Frosty, you bring up a really good point, and because you and I were both on the same skillet, if you will, back in 2007 going into 2008 for the election of this man, we criticized Barack Obama and his ideology. We criticized his background. We criticized not knowing anything about him. We criticized his original name of Barry Soetoro now being somehow changed to Barack Hussein Obama. We criticized all of that, and then you and I both had the people in an uproar ready to come after us because the left wanted to call us racist and bigots. But you know what? I still have the questions. I'm not going to back off. I still have the unanswered questions as to who this man really is.
Well, history's going to show him, and this is my prediction. In fact, Jerry Corsi just talked about it this morning on an interview. He said, history will expose Barack Obama. There's no question at some point the records will be public knowledge, the fraud will become public knowledge, and the history books will show that Barack Obama defrauded the American people from the get-go. and that will come to light, whether it's 5 years after the presidency or 10 years. It will come to light, and you and I will be vindicated because we are Americans, and we stand and we stood up for the truth, and we stood up for investigating what really is this man named Barack Obama, and all this will come to light. And at this point, we can only hope that he can't do any more damage or much more damage than he's already done, and that the damage at some point can be repaired by a competent president who actually is an American citizen who cares about America.
You know, Frosty, I don't know if you caught this or not, but Barack Obama did an interview with the Huffington Post, and I got a copy of some of the verbiage that he used on that interview, and I'm going to read it to you because it's very, very scary. He said, "Where elected Republicans in Congress are not willing to work with us, we will do it administratively, or we will convene the private sector. We will get it done by hook or by crook." That's the president speaking. He's going to have it his way or no way.
Rob, he's already doing a lot of hook and crook stuff right now. And that's just the reality. I mean, the man he said, and I think it was recorded 22 times, he did not have any authority whatsoever to command any kind of an executive order to give illegal aliens a pass, a free deal into our country. And because he's so arrogant and he's so unconstitutional, he is without any kind of moral, ethical foundation. It's obvious. He usurped the Constitution and gave the executive order, and unfortunately the Congress did not have the guts, the gumption, or the courage, or the integrity to stop him. And the same thing's still happening right now with both houses being controlled under the Republicans. They still don't have the courage and the guts and the stand-up to stop him with this godforsaken amnesty. Folks, this amnesty is going to cost no less, according to the Heritage Foundation, it's going to cost us $1.3 to $1.5 trillion just for starters, because they're going to tap into all of our Social Security, they're going to tap into all of our food stamps, they're going to tap into all of our school systems, they're going to tap into ESL, which is English as a second language, which they never learn anyway. They're going to tap into all of our medical, and then they're going to tap into all the insurance programs. In fact, right now, they already cost us $346 billion a year, according to the Edwin Rubenstein economic report, across 15 federal agencies. And yet the American people don't stand up, and the Congress won't stand up, and we're not being represented as a constitutional republic. As a matter of fact, Zeb, I talked to a Swiss man at my rec center here in Evergreen, Golden, Colorado.
Yeah.
And he said, Europe is finished. He said, I mean, every place in Europe right now is just being turned into a Muslim ghetto. And he says they're just running out Europeans. He said that's why I immigrated and years ago to America, and just to escape it. But he said it's depressing to see your own country fall like this. He says immigration is killing Switzerland. Switzerland, for heaven's sakes, it's killing Switzerland. So we're all in trouble over this thing on many fronts, whether it's the Mexican invasion or the Muslim invasion or all of the rioting going on with the African Americans in this country. And yet we keep injecting another 100,000 of these third world immigrants every 30 days. I don't know what else to say. It's beyond me, exasperating that the American people won't wake up.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Frosty, going back to the last midterm election, you and I did many programs about, oh boy, we got to get the GOP in there. Oh boy, we got to get control of the Senate. Oh boy, they've really got to put the brakes on this Obama administration. Wait a minute. These guys haven't done anything to be proud of, and quite frankly, like Larry Pratt said with the executive directorship of Gun Owners of America, they've been spineless. And you know what? He's right.
Well, he is right. I want everyone to be directed to my latest series. I'm trying to make this a national slogan. Immigration shut down now. That was published last Thursday at newswithviews.com. It's still right up there, it's about 7 lines down on the flagpole. But immigration shut down now. There's a new buttons out. I'm working with the former candidate for U.S. Senate in Connecticut, Paul Streitz. He's an ex-commando with the Army and Rangers back in the Vietnam War. He's my age. Anyway, immigration shut down now. The need to halt mass immigration into America. That's the part one. Then part two is immigration shut down now, the tragedy of the commons, and that will be in newswithviews.com tomorrow. I really hope that you all understand that this is what's coming. This is not what if it's coming. It's coming. We're about to add, again, I can't say this enough, 100 million third world immigrants. Congo, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Indochina, India, Mexico, Brazil, Ecuador, Salvador. We're literally going to immigrate all these people into this country to the tune of 100 million of them. And we're not going to survive this thing. And again, as I've always said, www.capsweb.org and numbersusa.org and FAIR, FAIRUS.org. For heaven's sakes, please, fellow Americans, join, tell everybody, send those two videos out to everybody. Because, Zeb, this is what's coming to our country, and we're not going to survive.
I agree.
Intact civilization.
I agree. We've got a caller with a question. Caller, real quick. I've only got a couple of minutes left. Go.
Yes, I was reading an article from Heather McDonald from the Manhattan Institute, and this is one of just this statement alone, it represents the Obama administration to a T. Once a people or a government decides to normalize one form of lawbreaking, other forms of lawlessness will follow until finally the rule of law itself is in profound jeopardy.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Frosty, respond to that, because that's exactly what this administration is doing. They're tearing apart a cheap suit, thread by thread, till we don't have anything left.
You know, that's exactly right. Every time you turn around and there is a black killing, over 6,000 African Americans kill 6,000 African Americans every year. That's the average. And yet when somebody robs in a convenience store like Michael Brown and then charges an officer and gets his little butt killed because of his thuggery, the whole of African Americans go nuts. Well, just this last week, two African American thugs, just kids, 15 and 16, killed a man walking home. I've got the story right here. Mm-hmm. I can send it to you so you can elaborate on it. Yeah. And yet there's no voice, no nothing from the black community whatsoever. Al Sharpton isn't jumping on it. And yet here in Colorado, and this is every place else, they're really toning down any kind of rule of law and allowing a lot of the African American people to commit these crimes and because they don't want to feel like they're being racist. Well, when police officers cannot adjudicate the law or enforce the law, regardless of race, creed, or color, then we have lost our republic, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
You know, what you just said really needs to be elaborated on, and I can give you another analogy of that story. There was one black man, one black writer for the Washington Post. He writes a column, an editorial column. He came out this weekend, and he had the nerve and the backbone to say that it's wrong that the people in the United States are listening and believing in the hands up, don't shoot. And he wrote a complete editorial about how phony and how fraudulent and what a lie it was about the hands up, don't shoot. And they're trying to run him out of Washington. They're trying to get him fired. The left absolutely wants to perpetrate a lie.
That's exactly correct. I want to make everybody understand this. 4 African American women and 2 African American men corroborated that Michael Brown charged and was going to do bodily harm to Darren Wilson, the police officer who shot him dead. And I guarantee you, if somebody came at me at 6'4" and 290 pounds, and they're in a raging froth because they've already got their hand shot because he tried to take the pistol away from Darren Wilson in the police car, and he's coming back after me, you better believe I'm going to take defensive action, whatever it takes to stop a 6'4", 290-pound man who's in a rage, who's already been a thug. He's beaten up people left and right. We've got videos of him beating up people. He's cold-cocked 65-year-old senior citizens. I mean, bashed their heads in. We have videos of that. And so all of this baloney, these lies about hands up, don't shoot, are perpetrated through emotion and phonies like Al Sharpton, who is nothing but a charlatan, along with Jesse Jackson, who's one of the most immoral ministers here on in the United States. It's just ridiculous. So those are the realities and those are the facts, Seb.
Well, absolutely. And the part that really is getting me upset is that these people, the Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons, yes, that's how they make their money, by lying to the public and by stirring up the coals of unrest. But really, when you look at the real problem, it's also this president and this administration and Eric Holder. They're the ones that are aiding and abetting the unrest, and they're causing the real problem in America today.
Well, they are, and there's no question that Barack Obama, aided by Eric Holder, and all of that ilk, if you will, they're literally breaking down our Constitution right in front of our eyes, and the average American just isn't watching, isn't paying attention, doesn't understand, really doesn't even care. And yet, this lawless presidency is going to have ramifications that are going to just inundate this country with mega consequences, multiple consequences as to the rule of law, unbelievable consequences as to the linguistic chaos that we're facing. And then when you think about the Muslims that he's importing into this country at breakneck speed, we really are going to find ourselves into a polyglot nation that has nothing in common with each other. And as I've said before, instead of pulling together as Americans, we're going to be pulling apart as a multicultural polyglot society that has nothing in common with itself. And you're already seeing that in Paris, France, and Norway, and certainly in Holland, and certainly in Germany and Italy and the United Kingdom. That's what's coming, and I can't raise it loud enough or repeat it enough. We're facing this kind of a future. Our children are going to be completely inundated with this nightmare called multiculturalism and this polyglot society. That's what is coming. That's why I say please join those organizations that I talk about each week.
All right, we're going to end it on a little bit of a lighter note, and I've got to say this, that for some strange reason, a green and white alma mater of Michigan State University, they play their best basketball in the playoffs for the NCAA. They have shocked me by who they have beat so far, and they're hanging tough and going to the Sweet 16 along with my Wisconsin Badgers and my other pick, the Wichita State Shockers. You ought to be very proud of the green and white Spartans this morning.
Well, you know, I am proud of them. Of course, they're the Cotton Bowl champions and the Rose Bowl champions the year before. But in basketball, I tell you what, I think those Wisconsin Badgers are going to, I think they're going to do some big things. Although, you know, the big guy, what, they got 40 in zip?
Kentucky, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible, but I think Wisconsin's a better team than Michigan State Spartans. So I'm going to, you know, whatever. I'm cheering for the Big Ten to go in there and do battle. But my gosh, that's just unbelievable. That unbelievable run by that team. 40. They think it's going to go 40 and zip. It's going to
yeah, but there's an if there. You know, my granddad used to tell me that if you bring the right chainsaw for the job, every tree can fall.
And I know that. That's why sport is so great. That's why I love sport. That's why sport is the great joy of America and our great pastime. And so, you know, may the best team have the best tip, and may the best team or the most lucky team, take it all in the end. It's just exciting to watch. So it'll be fun, whether it's the Spartans or Wisconsin or Kentucky or Duke or whatever. So I'm excited.
All right, Frosty Woolridge, God bless you, my dear friend. See you next Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope this serious discussion is emanating across the country, and I hope this new series, Immigration Shutdown Now, takes a national slogan. I'm sending it out to every writer across the country to start talking about this. We cannot possibly survive another 100 million immigrants.
Absolutely. Frosty, well stated. Thank you so much. God bless you. Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Thank you very much. Hey, don't forget, let's ride. Get your motor running. Vroom, vroom, vroom. I'll tell you what, they've got all the ATVs over there. Yep. They've got the Can-Am ATV side-by-sides, rebates for this year, 2015. Oh, and by the way, 0% interest up to 5 years on all the 2014 Kawasaki's. Oh, you better check it out. And by the way, they've got a fantabulous service department too. So get ready for spring and summer at Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. And the number to call, 436-4771. Remember the best. Remember Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. Oh, by the way, too, before we get our next guest on the program, I want to remind you, Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Don't forget, Lennox independent dealer for over 48 years. They know the climate, and they know and have all the equipment to get things right for you. Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. 678-0459, where they sell warm winters and cool summers with Lennox at Ramsey Heating and Electric. In just a minute, we're going to have Kerry Kupek on the line with us with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Stand by for that. Oh, my goodness, the call to the gate. And old Wheels is right on top of it this morning. Be right there, Kerry. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Oh, my. They can help you and make sure that you're covered and protected. Dean and Todd serving you at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You be sure and give them a call or stop in today, 436-4424. Let's go to the phone line right now and say good morning to a lovely lady with the Alliance Defending Freedom, Kerry Kupek. Good morning, Kerry. How are you?
Good, doing well, Zeb. How are you doing this morning?
Well, you did it again. You got my blood pressure way up this morning. I wanted to say congratulations, the way you at the Alliance Defending Freedom keep on top of everything as far as all these different stories. But when I read this about Quebec, Canada, and how they are telling people that even though they are expressing a particular faith, they have to tell everybody about every other faith as being equally valid, I about went right through the window. Tell us about this story.
Yeah, and understandably, you should. Faith-based schools should be free to operate according to the faith they teach and espouse. That's sort of why they're in existence, right? And thankfully, the Supreme Court of Canada agreed. But to give you a little background, in July 2008, the Quebec government introduced a new program called Ethics and Religious Culture. It is required to be taught in all public and private schools. Basically, what this program was and is, it just presents all religions, including Wicca, pagan rites. They're all equally valid according to this program, and it mandates that teachers present them as such in this very neutral fashion. Well, this included even at a private religious school. So here you have Loyola High School, run by Jesuits, a Roman Catholic order. That's the Scholastic Order of Catholicism, and they told this high school that they could not teach. The lower courts originally told this high school that they were not allowed to teach this class from a Catholic perspective, despite the fact that the entire reason they're in existence is to teach things from a Catholic perspective. And so this went all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada, and thankfully the Supreme Court upheld religious freedom for Canadians and said, no, this is crossing way too far here. Private religious institutions should be free to operate according to their faith, or we're in big trouble.
You know, what got me when I read this story, Kerry, is that basically they said, and tell me if I'm wrong, that like you mentioned a moment ago, whether they believed in witchcraft or whether they believed in pagan rites or whatever, they had to teach every religion as being equally valid. Right there, the word equally valid, that really stuck in my craw. But my question to you is, I wonder what would have happened if it would have been an Islamic school and teaching just the values of Islam? Would they have gone along with the rules if they'd gone the other way?
Well, it's a good question, but according to this decision, or according to what the Minister of Education was doing in Canada, if he was consistent, he would have said, no, too bad. I don't care that you're an Islamic school. I don't really care what faith you ascribe to, despite the fact that you're open for business because of that faith in the first place. You must teach this course in this way that the government mandates, presenting everything as neutral, objective, etc., despite the fact that undermines really why you exist. Now, what's interesting is that, of course, these schools, I would imagine, to give a broad education, are of course going to teach about world religions. That's part of the education process. But certainly a school, a faith-based institution, should be allowed to teach from a perspective that they fundamentally ascribe to and were founded for in the first place. And so Loyola High School in Quebec, they will teach this course, but according to this, under this decision that was just issued from the Supreme Court of Canada, they're able to do so from a Catholic perspective, and teach Catholic ethics as they teach the other religions.
Let me ask you, Carrie, after the Alliance Defending Freedom has got involved in this case, do you have a fear or a little trepidation that somebody in the very near future is going to try to do that here in the United States?
Oh, of course. In fact, they're already trying to do so. There's a case out in California right now which is dealing with this exact issue. And it's a disturbing one, because what's the point of having a private religious institution if you can't operate according to the religion upon which you were founded in the first place? It doesn't even make sense from a common sense perspective. Forget where you stand religiously. It completely just obliterates the reason for these schools to exist. And it's a very concerning trend. And so we're thankful that our allied attorney, it's a private attorney up in Canada that used his pro bono hours to litigate this case, and he volunteers for ADF, went forward with this and did so. And so we're very pleased. We're happy that the Supreme Court affirmed this religious freedom, and we'll see how these cases take shape here in the United States as well.
Carrie, there's a never-ending 24/7, 365 watch as to what they're going to do next. I mean, every day that people get up that call themselves Christians, they have to be aware of what's going on. They can't bury their head underneath the rock or put it in the sand, because there's an assault on their beliefs, there's assault on their church, there's an assault on their schools every single day, is there not?
100%. It's so important for people to remain vigilant in this country, because, again, like I always say, even if you're not a religious person, I think that most people care about speech, and most people care to be able to freely operate it and have beliefs and act accordingly. And when the government comes in and forces these private religious schools to sort of throw out their religious teachings out the window, thereby essentially undermining the very reason for their existence and destroying the reason why they came to be in the first place, we all have to fear, and we all have to be very concerned. And so you're right. It's so important for people to remain vigilant and make sure they're watching what's going on in their towns, in their cities, in their states.
I'm getting sidetracked a little bit, Carrie, but did you happen to see the cartoon, and I use that term loosely, that Mike Lukovic had as a syndicated cartoonist? It was in our paper yesterday on Sunday, and it was a very vile cartoon against Christians, and the top of the cartoon said, "Which sheet best hides bigotry?" And on the left-hand side of the cartoon, there showed a person wearing a Ku Klux Klan sheet, and on the right side of the cartoon, it showed a piece of paper that said Religious Freedom Bill. In other words, I took it as a cartoon that was really slamming religious folks that believe in the Word of God and the Bible, and basically calling us as Christians bigots tied to the Ku Klux Klan.
Right, and that's really sad and, quite frankly, very ignorant, because when free speech and religion wins, everybody wins. And that's not just a cliche statement. Our fundamental freedoms are tied to our ability to live and operate according to our beliefs. The government should be promoting and supporting that, not stifling that. And when these this sort of slander campaign, or this really just an ignorant way, but it's an intentional way of painting people who stand for freedom, for religious freedom, for freedom of speech, for freedom of expression, freedom of association, and they paint in that way. They're really doing themselves a disservice.
Absolutely.
It may not be the issue they like now, but in 10 years from now, once we've opened the door for the government to come in and force us to act in complete violation of our conscience, in complete violation of who we are, there's no telling what the government can strong-arm any one of us to do.
Absolutely.
So I find it very sad when I see those kinds of things, because the person who authors them or draws them is really doing a disservice to themselves as an American citizen.
You know, I've got about 6 minutes left, and I've got to get this next case in regarding the Illinois Supreme Court. And what in the world is going on here when someone that is not a parent of a child can claim that they are psychologically connected to a child and try to get custody? What's going on here?
Yeah, and in family law, and especially in the United States, when you have issues of family law, it is a very well-known principle and principle of law that a fit parent has the right to raise their children, their child, and a child has the right to be raised by their fit parent. And it's sort of a fundamental institution of family law and how we work in this country. And so what happened it was an interesting case. In Illinois, there was a woman, she had legally immigrated to the United States. Her name was Maria. She was from Slovakia, and she entered into a romantic relationship with a man here named Jim, who is an American, and several years into their relationship, she went back to Slovakia. She would often do so, and she would go back and forth, and she met a child in an orphanage, in a Slovakian orphanage, and she ended up adopting this child. Now, under Slovakian law, there's different aspects of law, but only a Slovakian could adopt a child, and since Maria she did so, and so she brought the child back, and she and Jim began to raise this child together. And they were engaged to be married. Well, that relationship fell apart, and Jim filed for custody, either joint custody, or he actually even filed for full custody as well, with some visiting for Maria for this child. And the Illinois Supreme Court just ruled this past week, and they said, look, this guy never entered into formal adoption proceedings for this child. He is not this child's biological parent, and really his only claim are some contractual claims, but also that he's arguing he's quote-unquote psychologically connected to this child. And they said, look, that just is not going to fly. You're not married. You're not the adoptive parent. You didn't follow the law under Slovakia. You didn't follow the law under Illinois, and therefore you don't have access to legal parental rights.
You know, it really scared me when I read this story. If the Illinois Supreme Court had looked at this case and said yes to that person called Jim that was not related to the child anything at all, and they would have given him custody rights, that would have opened up a Pandora's box to where literally the babysitter could be filing for custodial rights, right?
Yeah, it would have opened up. It would have been a disaster. And parents have the fundamental right to make decisions regarding the care, custody, and control of their children. Maria was the biological parent. She was a fit parent. She and she alone had the fundamental constitutional right to determine with whom Scarlett should associate. So you're right. If the court had just sort of did away with Maria, or kind of pushed her to the side, despite her being the fit biological parent, just because another person felt psychologically connected, it would have been a recipe for disaster. So the court made the right move on this.
Thank God for the Alliance Defending Freedom, and I mean that in every connotation of the words. Thank you so much for what you do. And Carrie Kupak, please tell my audience how they can follow these cases and others with the ADF, please.
They can go to AllianceDefendingFreedom.org, or they can go to ADFmedia.org if they want to look at some of the legal documents and the opinions and get a little bit more in-depth information about the cases themselves.
When you going to be on TV again, kid?
We'll see. Maybe soon. You never know.
All right. God bless you, Carrie. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. You too. Bye-bye.
Wonderful, wonderful people with the Alliance Defending Freedom. And every week, I'm so glad they put the time and effort into giving us this information so we can have a very interesting segment. Thank you, Carrie Kupek. Oh, my. We've got to get the weather forecast in here. And the weather this hour is brought to you by our dear friends, Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. Here is the telephone number to call, 324-2004-2004. And don't forget, your health is their number one priority. When you're sick or not feeling good or you're hurt, it's not convenient. So they do their very best to make your health care convenient for you. Call them today. Minor emergencies, major care. Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. And now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Rogers for Zeb of the Ranch, starting a brand spanking new week of messy weather. It's going to be a yucky day today. You got rain for the day and also for tonight. It's going to taper off tomorrow night. So you're going to get this rain. You're going to get cooler temperatures with daytime highs in the middle 50s. Overnight lows will be right around the mid to upper 30s. Then when you get to Wednesday, all the way through the weekend, nice weather temperatures in the 70s. Now that I can't talk, enjoy the weather. Show me the weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And boy, we are blessed to have Urgent Care of Jerome, our weather sponsor for this hour, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome, Suite B. And the number to write down on your refrigerator and remember is 324-2004. They will see you today. Minor emergencies, major care, 324-2004. Also, I want to remind you, too, about Streamline Precision. I wished I had the talent to build anything. Well, I'll tell you what, they can build anything for you. They are a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. And Streamline Precision is located at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. Now, here's the game plan. You call Tim Vaughn at Streamline Precision and ask him for estimates on anything you need built. 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314. Streamline Precision has manufacturing and contracting all under one roof, and they can take care of all your on-the-farm grain storage, your grain bins. They're an authorized dealer for Sioux Cup, Chief Malin, and Nucor buildings. And right now, to tell you how good they are building right now that brand new Funk Dairy right over here in Murtaugh, just south of me. Absolutely excellent. They know what they're doing, and they can get it done for you. Call for an estimate. Call Tim, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. You call them today. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, and I believe we have Mr. George Mass on the phone. Good morning, George. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, Mr. Bell. I'm down here at Banbury Springs, sitting on the side of the river, watching the pelicans and the fish swimming, and just enjoying, kicking back just a little bit.
Well, you deserve it, and you're with the grandkids, so believe me, it's not just all rest. The grandkids will keep you running.
Oh, that they do. They had Grandma on the swimming pool, and she ain't moving too good today.
George, in all seriousness, I want to get right to the matter at hand. You have been very, very instrumental in the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument over in Rupert, but there's been some problems with the monument. Tell us what's happened with the construction and the flag over the monument.
Okay, Mr. Bell, the city of Rupert approached the governor for a proclamation, which the governor granted one for us, but the governor granted for one day. We assumed it was for full-time, and so with due respect, that was just a miscommunication between the two political groups. So we brought the flag back down, flying at full staff. I believe, and all my constituents believe, that flag should be flown at half staff because it's a memorial honoring our fallen soldiers. And so Senator Cameron, and God bless him, I mean, he's a godsend for all of us, he put a bill before legislature in which the governor said if the legislature will run a bill through there, give him authority that he would do that. They can't tell legislators does. Senator Cameron put a bill up there. It's called S1155.
Right.
It goes before the committee Wednesday morning, and they will vote on it. Mr. Cameron asked me if we could get all of our people to call their legislatures. Even if you're out of state, go ahead and call all the state legislatures in support of this bill. And we can get that flag back down where it should be to honor our veterans.
Well, George, I guess the obvious question is that many of my listeners probably are asking right now, why is there such a flag flap over flying it at half-staff when it is for fallen memorials and a tribute to our soldiers? Why is there such a problem?
Well, the federal... After World War II, the American Legion helped write the flag etiquette, in which they said that it should be flown at 30-day maximum. But a group in Comfort, Texas, went before the Texas legislature, and they had a proclamation to fly their flag at half-staff over the Toulouse Union Monument. Mm-hmm. And so it's over a memorial. If it was just, we've got a POW monument, and I would fight tooth and toenail if they dropped that at half-mast. It does not belong there.
Yeah.
But over a memorial, they do.
And what you are working with now is Senator Dean Cameron and this bill, S1155, and you're asking everybody within the sound of our voices to please call Senator Cameron and all the senators and legislators and ask them to really support this bill, correct?
Yes. Sergeant Master Damon Rodriguez and Gary Shoresman and I will be in front of the legislature 8 o'clock Wednesday morning to plea our case to them. We need the support, and I put this out to the veterans. We've got 3,000 Mini-Cash. Get off your butts. Let's support this bill. This is for our comrades. It's not for me, it's not for you, but it's for our fallen soldiers.
You know, George, I really sometimes the language in its blunt form is the best. And I've been talking like that all morning long about getting up and doing something, getting up and being somebody. This, like you said a moment ago, sitting on their butts and not doing anything, that's why we have the problem in this country that we have.
It is, and you know, nobody loves the flag or respects it more than I do. They might as much, but no more. And I will never, ever do nothing to disgrace the flag or the United States flag code. Anybody that's on doubt whether we legally do this, I spent weeks and weeks researching this to make sure that I didn't offend the flag or the code or the people. They wrote the president did a executive order back, I think it was Roosevelt, that the civilians do not have to follow the strict guidelines of the federal government. You can go to the CRS. It's a bill for the congressman that gives them the flag code on the flag at all circumstances. Mm-hmm. And it says on there, let me just read a small quote. Again, the provision of the flag code on flying the flag half-staff, like all code provisions, is a guideline only. They do not apply as a matter of law to the display of the flag flying half-staff by a private individual or organization. No federal restrictions or court decisions are known that limit such an individual flying his flag. Is lowering his own flag, or that makes such a display a form of discrepancy.
Right.
So we're completely within guidelines. If it was on federal property or a federal building, I would support that 110%.
Right. But this monument...
We need to get it down.
This monument is on, and correct me if I'm wrong, this monument to our fallen comrades is on private ground, put up by private citizens, and it is the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument, and you believe with all of your heart and soul, and others that have helped you, that flag should remain at half-staff.
I agree. Zeb, it's a rock, cement, and a flag. But I have seen so many stop there. I've stopped and talked to them. on the soldiers that we've lost, on the birthdays or on 4th of July. There's flags, there's wreaths, there's people stop there, and I guess that brings a little bit of solitude. You know, we usually have the honor of, or the privilege of telling our loved ones goodbye when the time comes. Our fallen soldiers just yanked up when they didn't get that final word.
Right.
And I think they go there to, I guess, talk to them. I don't know. That's my belief.
All right, now let's stress again that you're going to be in front of the legislative session this Wednesday morning, and so time is of essence, George. If they're going to call and support this bill, Senate Bill 1155, they better get it done in a hurry, right?
Let's get her done. I don't think they're going to need to make a decision that morning, but it will be before the week because they're going to close session by the 27th. So let's bombard them. And you don't have to be local in the states. If you're from Utah, California, whatever, you're listening, call the Idaho legislature.
All right, now I'm going to ask you a question real quick, George. What is there a number? Because on the paper I have here, there's not a number. Is there a number for the switchboard that you want them to call and give their support? Do you have that number, or do you want me to look it up somehow?
If you would look it up, Zeb, I haven't had time, but they can call Senator Bedke.
No, you State Representative Bedke, not Senator.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, they can call all legislatures in Idaho. There's Stennett and Bellevue. She's supporting of it, so let's bombard them with some emails and phone calls.
I will get the number. I had it here on my desk, but I don't see it right now, but I will take care of that later. But I urge everybody, and give us one final plea that you want everybody to call in favor of this bill, S1155, so that the flag can remain at half-staff on the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument. Right, George?
Yes, and the rewriting of that for the Idaho Code is that the governor has, if that flag is not kept respectful and up to code, they will pull that proclamation. So it's not going to be just thrown up and forgotten about. It's got to be very well kept.
George Mass, a dear friend, I hope you have a wonderful time, spring break with the grandkids, and it's a great weight loss reduction having the grandkids for a week, so have fun, and we'll plug this, and good luck Wednesday up there at the legislative session.
All right, and let's all get down to some support. This is Zeb. I appreciate your support.
All right, sir. We'll keep plugging it on the air. George, thank you so much. God bless. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. George and his wife, Donna, have done so much to honor our military, and I know that they put their heart and souls into that Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument over in Rupert. So please call up to the legislative session. You can look up the number. You can call and get the number. I'll get it right after I'm off the air this morning, and then tomorrow I'll hit this again. It's Senate Bill 1155. Senate Bill 1155. And thanks again for all the help from Senator Dean Cameron, and I'd love to see this thing passed so they can really honor the fallen comrades in our military, and that's with the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Monument over in Rupert. George, congratulations. Good job. Good job. Let's not forget another great business over in the Rupert area, and that's Mad River Laser. Oh, my! Nicole and Alex Pratt and the whole crew, the whole family serving you at 502 East Street in Rupert. And now, if you're into pocket knives like I am, I collect pocket knives. And they've got the buck knives, 10% off, and the engraving on the pocket knife free, so you better get over there and check that out. They've got all the business promotional items for your business. They can put your logo and your name on everything, caps and sweatshirts and jackets, you name it. And they also have all the employee recognition plaques. And believe me, when they put something together, it is first class. You've got to get in there and check it out. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert, with Nicole and Alex and the whole crew serving you. We are going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to have, let's see, who's on at 10:06, a gentleman by the name of Steve Mosher, and he's got a brand new documentary out called It's Easy to Be Green When You Have No Choice. and we're going to talk to him about that coming up at 10:06 this morning. And then at 10:30 this morning, Idaho Legislative Update. I believe Senator Dean Cameron's going to be on. We'll wait and see. Stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in 6. Morning. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Big spring tire sale going on right now. And then also, don't forget some of our great advertisers that include Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service, 734-6969. And also our thanks go out to Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. We're going to have our guest with us momentarily, but I want to remind you about the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. What have they got on the menu for a special today? Oh, listen to this. Oh, this is going to be good. Chipotle blue cheeseburger with side, choice of side, and super salad. Chipotle blue cheeseburger with choice of side, super salad at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. They've got delicious specials every day. In addition to their menu and the nice people, beautiful, wonderful environment, you're going to really enjoy the Chadwick Sports Grill. You stop in and see them today. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Now, they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And I've been over there working on my knee and working on my hip in the hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill in the bottom of the pool. It's the only one of its type in the entire area. So please, if you need help and you need to get back to feeling like you, give them a call at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Nick Greenwell and the entire staff, they are super well informed about all the sports medicine, all the exercises, and very friendly. They can help you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and I've been looking forward to having this gentleman on the program, and he's got a brand new documentary out called It's Easy Being Green When You Have No Choice. Good morning to Mr. Steve Mosher. How are you? Steve, are you there?
I am.
Good morning. It's nice to have you on the program.
I'm afraid I was trying to call you when you were calling me.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got you on the air. Everything is well. And tell us a little bit about yourself so we know more about the author, Stephen Mosher, and this documentary.
Well, I'm the first American social scientist allowed into the People's Republic of China. I was teaching at Stanford University back in 1979 when I was selected to go to China, and I found myself in the middle of China's one-child policy, which had just begun at that time. I saw women arrested for the crime of being pregnant. I saw them forcibly aborted and forcibly sterilized, and other human rights abuses and atrocities. I went to China thinking that overpopulation was a real problem. I left China thinking that the real danger is governments that try to take control of everyone's reproductive systems and dictate how many children you should have or not to have. So I'm a big opponent of population control. I've written a dozen books on China, Asia, and these issues. And I run the Population Research Institute outside of Washington, D.C., where I fight to have human beings regarded as blessings and not burdens. And seen as producers and not consumers. People are not pestilences. They're not a scourge on the planet. They're a good thing.
You know, it's a treat. Honestly, it's a treat for me to hear somebody come out and say what you just said. I am so sick and tired of having the liberal left point their finger at me and put my face on a wanted poster as if I'm some kind of criminal because I love to go out and try to be successful. I use, not abuse, what God has given us as far as everything around our environment, etc. And it's a real treat to hear you kind of rub their eyes with salt and try to make them understand that we're not an abusive part of the planet.
Well, we're not. And I was debating last year one of the leaders of a radical environmental group in Great Britain. And on the air, on BBC, he referred to babies as little carbon emitters.
Oh, my.
And I must say, that's probably the least charming description of a delightful little baby I've ever heard, as little carbon emitters. And you could see where he was coming from. He was saying that people were a form of pollution, and the fewer babies born, the better off we would be. Now, there are a lot of countries around the world which have a problem with babies. They have too few babies. Europe is dying, Russia is dying, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan. Lots of countries are desperate now to have more children, not fewer.
What is the optimum goal of the environmentalists and the liberal left? I mean, Stephen, what is their bottom line? What do they hope to achieve, maybe not in this decade, but in the decades to come?
Well, I think ultimately it comes down to power and control. Power over the rest of us, control over our lives. You know, it was no accident that China, back in the early days of communism, decided that population was a resource like coal and steel and anything else, and sought to bring it under state control. But it might surprise some people to learn that the United Nations Population Control Agency, which is called the United Nations Fund for Population Activities, wants to export China's one-child policy to other countries around the world because they think it's a good thing. They turn a blind eye, of course, to the abuses that we talked about, the forced abortions, forced sterilizations. And they want India, they want Burma, they want the United States to adopt this policy as well.
Stephen, how close are we, in your opinion, of having the United States of America and adopt or be coerced or forced to adopt policies like China's through the United Nations?
Well, I think that the first thing we have to do is stop funding these programs.
Mm-hmm.
I have been involved for the last 30 years in cutting funding to the United Nations, specifically to the United Nations Population Control Agencies. We've cut about $1 billion to that agency, first under Reagan and Bush 1 and then under Bush 2. Unfortunately, the funding tap has been turned on again now, and the funds are again flowing. Your tax dollars are going to support China's one-child policy, among other atrocities. So we have to cut the funding. We have to cut out the legs from the arguments that these people make, that the numbers don't work in their favor. If you actually look at birth rates around the world, birth rates are falling faster and farther than anyone thought possible 50 years ago, when my colleague at Stanford University, Professor Paul Ehrlich, wrote his famous book, The Population Bomb. The population bomb never went off. It fizzled. But we're still pouring billions of dollars into anti-people programs today. That has to stop. If we can't cut off the funding, then yes, they will come into our lives and they will begin to dictate to us how many children we can have or not to have.
You know, when you look at the overall green movement in the world today, Stephen, and of course they're trying to really push climate change right now. They're trying to blame us, the human factor, as being the one-all and catch-all, the criminals that have caused all the problems. And this Obama administration, in the remaining 2 years they have left, I'm really wary of what they're going to try to impose on us. How concerned are you of Obama before 2016?
Well, I think that Obama and his appointees in various agencies, like the Environmental Protection Agencies, will push the envelope, will ignore the laws, will pass regulations that were never intended to be authorized by Congress. I have a farm in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, where I'm speaking to you from, and I have a pond on that farm. Last year, the EPA declared that all bodies of water in the United States belong to it and not to the rightful property owners. So in a sense, my pond on my private property has now been seized by the government. Now, they haven't actually come and wanted to do anything with my pond, you understand, but this sort of creeping control, I think, is what we will see in lots of different areas of our life. And if the government can tell you what kind of house you live in, what kind of car you must drive, what kind of fuel you must use, what you must eat, how much you must drink, how much water you can use, and otherwise you'll be punished, then you have lost your liberty. You have lost your freedom.
What happened to us as a people, Stephen? You study this, you write about this. I mean, 250 years ago, our forefathers would be turning over in their graves right now, seeing what we've become. What happened to us as a people where we haven't picked up the pitchforks and walked down Pennsylvania Avenue? Why have we lost our freedom and our love for freedom?
I think you're right on the founding fathers of our country. I think they would unanimously vote to go back to the Articles of Confederation and probably regret establishing the city of Washington, D.C. in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But be that as it may, if you don't fight for your freedom, you'll certainly lose it. And one of the ways that we defeated the threat of communism for the most part. We won the Cold War, as we won World War I and World War II. We won the Cold War. But there's another war going on, much more subtle, much more carefully crafted, a war against people, and a war against the things that people use, like air and water and other resources. I don't believe that there is any practical limit to the number of people you can have on the planet. The other side says we can't have more than 1 billion or 2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are 7 billion people on the planet today. We've never lived longer in terms of lifespans. We've never eaten better. We've never enjoyed better health. We've never been better educated. We've never had a higher per capita income. What's wrong with this picture? The fact that there are more of us has enabled us to produce more and better the lives of everyone on the planet. I don't see what would be the cause of a drastic reduction in population.
Stephen, talk to me a little bit about one facet that I think is the major kind of the poke in the eye, and that's our school system. I believe that the liberal left and the environmental agenda is going through the school system, and the kids are coming home and telling mom and dad how bad they are. That, I believe, has got to change, but can it?
Well, I'm speaking from my own personal experience, and I'm the father of 8 children, so I'd like to say that if I had stayed in China, they would have sterilized me on site years ago to stop me from having all these children. We homeschooled our children up until high school, and we don't regret having done that. My wife was a former public school teacher, and so had seen life on the other side, and so decided that she wanted to school her own children, that we wanted to school our own children so that we could instill in them the values that we think are important, not the values that Washington, D.C. and Manhattan and Hollywood think are important. And we've never regretted it. But, parents whose kids do go to public school should be involved in helping to set curricula, should get elected to local school boards, and should absolutely impose efforts to control education from Washington, D.C.
The old saying, the straw that broke the camel's back, have we lost all that straw, or is there still a straw out there, Stephen, that may cause the public all of a sudden to stand up, get a backbone, and fight against what's happening?
Well, I wrote a couple speeches for President Ronald Reagan after he left office, and I must say that one of my favorite lines from the Gipper is, the best days of America are ahead of her. And I hope for the sake of my children and grandchildren that we remember the values on which this country was founded, limited government, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, the other freedoms we hold so dear, the Second Amendment rights and so forth. Those things have to be fought for. Every generation, I think, has to fight anew to stop the natural tendency of government to grow and to control and to take over more and more of our lives.
Tell me a little bit about the documentary, the production, and where it can be obtained, how people can see it, understand, and appreciate it. Give us a little background on that.
Well, the documentary is called "It's Easy Being Green When You Have No Choice," and of course the radical environmental movement doesn't want to allow us a choice of whether or not to turn on the light switch or force us to keep it off, a choice as to whether or not to use certain fuels and live in certain kinds of homes, and this is really the successor of communism in a very real sense. Communism was an effort at controlling our lives by controlling the means of production. Every field, every factory, every farm was to be under state control, managed by state cadres. That didn't work out so well, as we know. It led to massive famines in China and the Soviet Union and elsewhere, and ultimately failed. But the radical environmental movement is also about control and limits. You know, when people hear the phrase sustainable development, they should understand that sustainable is a synonym for limit. And sustainable development means limit development. Sustainable population, when you hear that phrase, that means limit the population. In other words, population control. It's really nothing more than a tool inspired by these communal ideals to indoctrinate us into accepting a highly controlled society in which all kinds of activity are monitored. I mean, some people now wear Fitbits on their wrists to determine how many steps they take a day and how many calories they burn. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the radical environmental movement came up with the idea of making everyone wear an energy watch to track how much energy they use during the course of the day and to fine them if they use too much. This is the sort of mindset that we're dealing with. And the excuse, of course, is that we absolutely need to do these things in order to save the planet. But that's not true either. Because when people say to me, for example, there's a food shortage, I say, did you know that the Food and Agriculture Organization, which is a part of the UN, by the way, says that with current agricultural technology, we can feed between 12 and 14 billion people, and we only have half that number on the planet right now. And when people say to me, we're running out of water, I say, do you know that 70% of the planet's surface is covered in water to an average depth of 6,000 feet? Now, we may need to desalinate some of it, but we know how to do that as well. So there's no global water shortage. And the same argument can be made about any resource that anyone cares to name. Because there's no limit to human intelligence. There's no limit to the technological advances that we will make in the future. And as our needs and numbers grow, we will find technical solutions, scientific advances that help us cope with the problems that arise. We've done it in the past. We've done it successfully. There's no reason why we can't do it in the future, unless the government prevents us from doing so.
Absolutely.
And then we will stagnate forever.
Stephen, let me ask you, what about the documentary as far as the release and being seen by the general public? How do they obtain a copy? Please tell us.
Well, they can go on our website at pop.org, and It's Easy Being Green When You Have No Choice. And anyone who's concerned about the overreach on the part of the Obama administration, the effort on the part of radical environmentalists to control the rest of us using the excuse that they have to do so to control the planet or save the planet, should watch it.
You know, let me ask you this. For the time that it's been out and finished and perceived by the public, what's been the reaction?
Well, we've had overwhelming positive reaction to the documentary. This is sort of the antidote. If you had the misfortune of watching Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth, this is the antidote. This will help cover from some of the nonsense that has been out there, paid for by your tax dollars and mine.
I just want to say I wish you a lot of success. I absolutely am in favor of everything you're doing and trying to tell us. God bless you, and we'll keep promoting this documentary. It's Easy Being Green When You Have No Choice. Stephen Mosher, the very best to you, and I hope to have you back on the program in the future. Thank you so much.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting gentleman, and I support him. And it's Easy Being Green When You Have No Choice. It's a very controversial new documentary, and it exposes, really, how the world today is being influenced to believe that humans are responsible for just about everything, okay? Very interesting gentleman, Stephen Mosher, and I appreciate him coming on the program this morning. Oh, let's pay some bills. Let's tell you that on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, and we're very blessed to have two businesses that have sponsored Cassia County School Days from the beginning. One, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and you know A Child's World, they have everything over there for the family. They've got all the new spring dresses over there, and they've got boys' suits over there. They've got all the medical scrubs and shoes. By the way, those medical scrubs, really comfortable when you're around the house on the weekend. And they've got all the games and the toys and the books and the puzzles and everything for the babies. It's all there at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also, very blessed to have Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley with the life-saving colonoscopies, and if you've got foot trouble and knee pain, they can help you, and they will. As a matter of fact, every month they perform over 100 procedures and save their patients a lot of money with outstanding care. Please give them a call at 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley, and A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, bringing you Cassia County School Days. I apologize for the raspy throat this morning. I've been doing my best to get rid of that thing, but spring of the year, a little bit of the dust out there, and it's really dry, so I apologize for that. What we're going to do in just a moment, after the break at the bottom of the hour, I still don't know for sure if it's going to be Senator Dean Cameron, Representative Scott Bedke, or Representative Fred Wood for our legislative update this morning, but they're going to be coming on at 10:30. And then also, I want to remind you, tomorrow, who have we got scheduled? We've got Senator Lee Hyder coming on the program. We have Dr. History and many, many others tomorrow on the program. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be an action-packed show tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Let's see, I had one other little news item I needed to take care of, and Canyonside Irwin Realty. Now, as you know, Canyonside Irwin Realty, serving all of the Magic Valley, Twin Falls, Jerome, Buell, Gooding, Hagerman, and Burley. And you can call the main office number in Twin Falls at 734-6500 for all your real estate needs, buying or selling. And if you want, you can also give me a call. I'm very proud to be connected with them, Canyonside Irwin Realty. My number, 312-2976. Again, that cell phone number, 312-2976. We're going to take a little break right now and send it over to Wheels at our main studios for the break at the bottom of the hour, and then we'll be back with our legislative update. You stay tuned.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Beck.
Thank you very much. Don't forget the Goodie Shop at 133 West Main in Burley. Oh my goodness, order your Easter baskets and you can create your own, or they'll make one up for you. And they can do a man's basket, including jerky and fruit and peanuts and brownies, and the kids' baskets, all kinds of baskets for your favorite person in your family or your friends next door. Don't forget to order right now for Easter, and they've also got sandwiches and salads as the call to the gate goes on. The Goodie Shop, 133 West Main Street in Burley. Wonderful people with really good goodies. Don't forget to our friends at Streamline Precision at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. I've been telling you for the last couple of weeks about Tim Vaughn, and the number, 431-7314. You call them today for estimates. They have vast experience in industrial development that includes dairies and feedlots and food processing and multiple other agricultural applications, and they want me to tell you that they are really experts at putting up grain bins on the-farm storage, and they are also authorized dealers in Sukup, Chief, Balin, Nucor buildings, and they're putting in a lot of the cement and concrete work right now for mangers and feed alleys. All you have to do is give them a call, and they can help you. Call Tim Vaughn at 431-7314. Call today for estimates. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. The pros building for you. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we're going to play a little contest because I have no clue who's on the air with me this morning. Enter and sign in, please.
Good morning, Zeb. Fred Wood here. How are you?
Well, Representative Fred Wood, my dear friend, what's going on in your world at the Idaho legislative session?
Well, both the House and the Senate are on the floor, so the Speaker obviously is tied up, and Senator Cameron, as Chairman of Finance, has a bunch of bills up, and as committee chairman, he needs to kind of be there, so I hopefully won't have any committee bills up in health and welfare until I can get back there at 11, so I drew the short straw.
Oh, my goodness. Don't make it sound so painful being on my program.
It's not, Zeb. I always enjoy coming on the program, and any way I can get off of the floor to do that, I'm happy to do it.
Let me ask you a question, Fred, and you know me, I'm pretty blunt and I want to get the information, but the Times News yesterday had a story with the headline, Idaho House calls for impeachment of activist judges. And they had a how they voted column, and they show that Speaker Bedke voted yes, and Hartkin, Twin Falls, Miller, Fairfield, and Nielsen of Mountain Home all voted yes, but you, along with Maxine Bell, Lance Clow, Clark Kaufman, and Donna Pence all voted no. Explain your vote on that, please.
Okay, what that resolution was about, and I don't know how that resolution ever made it out of, I don't know why it was even ever introduced in committee, but what the resolution was about was basically about impeaching impeaching federal judges whose opinion you don't agree with. Well, you know, as everyone knows, I have family members that sit on the state court.
Yes.
And I don't always agree with everything that they come up with. I think that's dangerous to go down the road of just saying, you know, if I disagree with an opinion, then I think that judge ought to be removed. The argument turned really ugly on the floor, and the argument turned about gay marriage. The argument turned about money. The argument turned about how they're appointed, etc. And it was not it was not the House of Representatives' finest hour at all. So I just simply don't believe that we should be removing judges just because we don't agree with their opinion. And that's basically what the sponsor of the legislation said. That's what that was about.
All right.
And it was about not agreeing with my interpretation of the Constitution.
Right.
The specific words that he said. Well, you know, the Constitution is a pretty vague document in a lot of respects, and you know, there's a methodology for removing and impeaching federal judges who don't carry out their duties. We already have that. We don't need this.
Fred, what are your thoughts? And I've got quite a few things to get into this morning, but you tell me if I'm wrong, I'm very concerned and very wary about any group of people forming and having a constitutional convention to where they might try to alter, change, or disrupt a document that has been very dear to all of us here in the state of Idaho and America. What are your thoughts about constitutional conventions?
So you're talking about Article 5 convention?
Yes.
Well, you know, it's never been done before, as I understand it, because whenever there is enough, as we approach the point to where enough states become dissatisfied with the issue at hand, Congress generally acts and brings forth a constitutional amendment of its own that the states either can approve or not approve. In this case, the real argument is about a balanced budget.
Right.
And the mounting debt that the United States government is piling up. And so more and more states are pushing to have an Article 5 constitutional convention. The real argument against it is whether or not you can control a constitutional amendment or a constitutional convention once it is appropriately convened.
Right.
And I think that is a worry. Now, obviously, you should be able to, if the state of Idaho sends a delegation there, the delegation would have the authority to act only for the single purpose that the state of Idaho sent it there to. And if, in fact, the authorizing legislation to send a delegation is appropriately crafted, then the delegation could be withdrawn at any point in time and brought home by the state. So, I think there is enough safeguard there, but I agree with you with respect to what your worry is, because you just can't send a delegation there and have a constitutional convention and open up the entire Constitution to remake. Because, no, I would disagree with that.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear you say that. Fred, as a doctor, I've got to ask you this. I have a lot of concerns, and I feel that my concerns are verified because I am a polio victim. Why is it that Idaho's vaccination rate is among the lowest in the United States? Why are we letting this happen? Why can't we make the laws tougher, per se, and try to ramp up or amp up, if we can, more vaccinations for these kids going to school, these people coming into the state of Idaho? I absolutely believe in my heart of hearts that we're going to see many diseases come back and rear their ugly head again. Polio could be one of them. What are your thoughts on this?
I think you're exactly right, Zeb. And I could spend hours talking to your listeners about the number of lives that immunizations alone have saved. If you go to any cemetery that's been around for a significant period of time, and particularly in the about 1900, in the year 1900, 40% of all children died before they got to adolescence.
That's right.
And today there are two reasons that most people live into adulthood. As a matter of fact, high 90% live into adulthood. Number one reason is immunizations, and number two reason is, of course, antibiotics. But about 80 to 90% of that is strictly immunizations. Childhood diseases used to kill people like flies, Zeb. I mean, literally, it killed them like flies. And we don't have any recollection or memory of that. And it's sad. I think we got hung up on this idea that there's something bad about immunizations. There was the mercury scare with immunizations. Well, that has been scientifically put to rest, that there is no causal effect between the adjuncts in immunizations and that. And others. I'm with you. I really think that the only exemption for immunizations should be medical exemptions. And there are legitimate medical exemptions. But I don't think there should be an exemption for religious reasons or an exemption for just personal preference, because anybody who takes that option is endangering you and I and our grandchildren and other people. Look what happened with measles just very recently.
Absolutely.
We had a measles outbreak in the United States. At some point in time, we're going to come up with a smallpox outbreak, which will kill a bunch of people. We're going to come up with measles outbreak. I mean, a generalized measles outbreak. Measles still kills people, particularly adults that get measles. So I'm like you. I agree with you 110%, but I'm here to tell you, Zeb, there's a large segment of the legislature here that doesn't want anything to do with mandatory immunizations more than we've got.
I found that, and pardon me for saying this, Fred, but I'm going to be blunt. I find that to be a matter of cowardice, because there is absolutely no disease, polio, whatever, that cannot come back again. Polio is starting to show up in some of the poorer parts and regions of the world, and that's not to say that it can't be transported here, among other diseases. And the other question I have for you as a doctor is that those of us that were immunized as little children, who's to say that immunization hasn't worn off over time, and those of us getting into the ripe old age category, how do we know that immunity is still going to be effectual?
Well, we know in some instances that it's not. For instance, measles is a classic example of an immunization that is imperfect at best. If you line up for every 1,000 people you give the measles immunizations to, there is a small percent that will not be effectively immunized against a wild strain of measles. So measles are one of those that we have to immunize periodically. Mm-hmm. So you're exactly right. I concur with you 100% on the immunization issue. I don't know about how I would describe it, other than I would describe it as just simply uneducated about two things. What happened historically with childhood diseases that we have now defeated with immunizations, and two, what happens if we get lackadaisical about keeping up an immunization rate. And if we get a significant segment of the population that is no longer immunized, those disease processes will come right back. I mean, they really will. And for people who don't believe that, I'm sorry, but you're mistaken.
Fred, let me get into, I've got about 6 or 7 minutes left here. What about the transportation money? Has there been any solidification as far as what's going to be done, what might be done? Are they going to table it for this session? Are they looking at a so many cents per gas gallon tax? What's going to happen on that?
There is no consensus. There is no bill at this point in time, although there's 2 or 3 bills that are floating around. We do have House Bill 260, but it has a fatal flaw with a mechanism in it. So that's back on the drawing board. The leadership bill, or at least a portion of the leadership bill that came out Friday, was defeated in committee. There is my understanding is that there's a complete agreement now in both houses about the education bill, both the policy bill and the funding bill. So education is on its way, and I think that's a pretty good bill. Everybody has signed off on it. Transportation, however, is still up in the air, Zeb, and what the breakthrough on that is going to be, I don't know. I know the governor is really insistent upon getting a transportation bill before we leave. And we've got about this week to do it. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be home on Friday. I think it's going to spill over at least a couple of days into next week. So transportation is still a real issue up here, Zeb.
Well, it sounds like it, but if push comes to shove, do you think it's an issue that can be tabled for another year, or will there be such a backlash without within the state of Idaho that it's going to be very negative against everybody, Democrat and Republican?
Yeah, if we don't come out of here with a transportation bill, because we really need one. If we don't come out of here with a transportation bill, then, the citizens have a right to hold us accountable for not taking care of the transportation infrastructure that we've spent billions of dollars on. Right. And I don't blame them. It's just stupid, and there's no other word for it, to not come out of here with a transportation bill. We're working hard. I can assure every constituent of mine that's listening on the radio this morning that we're trying. Every hour there's not not someplace in the Capitol, there's not a discussion going on of how we find a breakthrough to get through this and get a transportation bill. But I mean, it's like herding cats up here on that, Jim.
Fred,
I'm not kidding you.
Anything else that's kind of on the table that's really an issue this week that has to be addressed that your listeners need to know about?
You know, I don't think so. I think all the appropriations bills, they're really holding them to basically a maintenance budget, essentially. So I don't see any of them having any trouble. I don't see any other great issues. We all knew that the two main issues coming in would be education and transportation. I think education's been solved as far as I know. And the only remaining one is transportation.
Okay. Representative Fred Wood, he always is a straight shooter on this program, and I certainly respect in everything he does up at the legislative session. Fred, thank you so much. God's blessings, and we'll look forward to talking to you another time.
Zeb, thank you so much, and God bless all the listeners.
Thank you very much. When you talk about our representatives, there's one of the best right there, and a man that really works for his constituents, Representative Fred Wood from Burley, and I'm glad to have him on the program this morning, representing the legislative update for this Monday. Holy smokes, we've got to get the weather forecast on here, and the weather's this hour is brought to you by Scarro's Meats. We had Don Scarrow on the program last week, and they've got what they call the $300 tax return meat package. Oh my goodness, you probably remember what he said. They've got beef, they've got the beef patties, they've got the rump roast, they've got New York steaks, and they've got the pork package with it, pork chops and bacon and bratwurst and the chicken and the cheese. Oh my goodness, it is delicious. Just $300 tax return meat package at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. And they do sell taste, one bite at a time. Here now, Michael Rogers weather. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Michael Rogers for Zeb of the Ranch Center, brand spanking new week of you, me, messy weather. It's going to be a yucky day today. You got rain for the day and also for tonight. It's going to taper off tomorrow night. So you're going to get this rain. You're going to get cooler temperatures with daytime highs in the middle 50s. Overnight lows will be right around the mid to upper 30s. Then when you get to Wednesday, all the way through the weekend, nice weather, temperatures in the 70s. Now that I can't talk, enjoy the weather. Show me whether you got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Don't forget, selling taste one bite at a time. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. Scarro's Meats, Jerome. Really good people. Let's see what else have we got. Did you know, this really bugs me, and I want to talk about this just for a moment or two and then get your calls on this. When Obama was running for president in the first term back in 2007, prior to 2008, he was saying that, well, if I'm elected president, I will be the most transparent administration ever in the history of the United States. You know, I want to just come right out and say, lie, phony, false, not true, no, nada. That's not it at all. As a matter of fact, I was doing some research, and along with my research, I also heard some other people talking about this over the course of the weekend with the Freedom of Information Act. And this administration has set records, absolute records, for withholding information. Once again, I want to say that word, withholding information. Don't you dare let the Democrats, and don't let this administration lie to you and say, well, we're the most transparent administration ever in the history of the United States. No. Quite the opposite. As a matter of fact, the Freedom of Information Act, or better known as FOIA, they have denied, they being the administration, has denied over 30% of the requests for information. Why? Why? And for Obama to sit there, and just the other day he was asked about transparency and information that's being released, and he looked at the commentator that was asking the questions, and he said, well, that's not true. We're the most transparent ever in the history. This man has been lying about this, and we have the information right here on my desk that the Freedom of Information Act been denied over 30% of the requests. And again, you have to ask yourself, why? Why are they not coming forward with information that is yours and mine here in the United States of America? Calls are welcome. I've got time for one or two quick calls. Give me a jingle on the landline. I'd love to hear from you. And while I'm waiting for your call that I'm sure is coming in, don't forget the big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a huge tire sale. Yep. Let's see. What about passenger car tires? Well, they've got the Ultra Z900 on sale. All season design and up to 80,000 mile warranty depending on the size. Woohoo, wow. I mean, that'll run forever. And then they've also got the Open Country AT2, outstanding traction, long-lasting tread on sale for the pickups and SUVs. Check it out today. Convenient credit for tires and services, and the best tire value promise in the industry, the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts. My goodness. And batteries. They got all kinds of batteries over there. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Absolutely the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, by the way, over the weekend, the Starbucks coffee shops, did you hear? I told you about this last Thursday. They started a campaign at Starbucks to where they were going to write on all the coffee cups, race together. Well, they found out that wasn't working so well because people were stopping at Starbucks, standing in line. They were waiting to buy their coffee. And then people were starting to talk about race relations and racism and everything else, and it was just absolutely hurting and hindering their business. And so they decided this morning that they were going to back off on that. But in the interim, last Friday in the USA Today, the Starbucks printed a Race Together program in the paper. It was 8 pages long, and it was challenging how we treat racial diversity in this country, and the attitudes and beliefs that guide us and everything else, and then true and false questions. And basically, I think what they did at Starbucks and across the United States was to do more to harm racial relations than they ever did to help it. If you get a chance, look at last Friday's USA Today and read that, and then maybe you'll go away shaking your head like I did. Once again, coming up tomorrow on the program, I've got to look here. We are going to be talking to Senator Lee Hyder up at the legislative session at the 9:06 hour, and he's going to be talking about knives, pocket knives, and whether and where it's legal or illegal to carry a pocket knife. And did you know, I didn't know this, he's going to talk about it tomorrow, that basically in the city of Twin Falls, supposedly it's illegal to carry a pocket knife? What? And then we're going to be talking at 9:30 to Dr. Katie Brown. 10:06, we have Dr. History. And by the way, soon, I think it's week after next, Dr. History is going to be leaving for China, so we wish him well. And then we're going to have a segment on income taxes at 10:30. So all of that tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Don't miss a minute of it. Tune in right here at KBAR 1230 AM. And, of course, streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com, and we'll start at 8:06 tomorrow morning and go for 3 hours. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course, don't forget, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.